people accountable for it, and they're bringing this upon themselves.
Let's hope that accountability, John, is through the ballot box. I thank you for your call. Ian in Bristol says to me, Nigel, I'll tell you what Mrs May should say to Mr Juncker. She should tell him we're leaving on WTO terms and he should get back to the negotiating table. Well, of course, Ian, if we did leave on WTO terms, they literally, before we left the corridor, they'd be running after us, grabbing at our ankles. Oh, no, please, because we sell you lots of wine and motor cars and we want a deal. If only we'd started off that way. Adam is a first-time caller from Raynham. Good evening, Adam.
Good evening, Mr Farage. How are you?
I'm all right. Well, I'm still hoping, Adam. I've got my fingers crossed. I'm hoping that on this aeroplane flight, Mrs May metamorphosises from Teresa the Appeaser into the big, strong Boadicea-type leader. What do you think?
We can dream, can't we, Nigel? We can certainly dream.
We can.
Frankly, I think she should just go to him and say, up yours. To be fair, she doesn't represent this country anymore. And I think a lot of us are getting quite sick of it, to be honest with you. Listening to what John was saying earlier, your first caller, totally echoing what he's saying, to be fair. How arrogant they've been and they've shown her up and everything. It's disgusting, to be honest with you, Nigel.
Adam, when you talk to your friends in work or socially at home down in North Kent, I mean, is that the general feeling?
Absolutely. I know my boss Andy's listening tonight as well, and he's going to echo everything I'm saying. Literally all of my friends, everyone I speak to, we all feel the same. There's no representation anymore, I don't think, in Parliament, which is a real shame. And
well, I can't. I must admit, the gap between the governors and the governed can never have been wider, can it, in the history of our nation?
Absolutely right, yeah. But maybe if we should take a page out of France's book. They've got a rich history of rising up against their corrupt politicians and hanging them.
Well, what are we going to do?
Well, I can't do that, can I? Let's face it. But I can certainly march on London. That's
well,
given. I tell you
what. Let's make sure, whatever we do, however badly we're let down, we do it peacefully, we do it in the correct way, and we defeat them again at the ballot box, as we did in that referendum. Does that sound fair?
We will. Yeah, I'm confident we'll do that, absolutely.
So am I. Adam, top man. Thank you. Brian is another new caller from Kennington. Good evening, Brian.
Hello.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Nigel. How are you?
I'm all right. So imagine you're on that aeroplane. You're coming to meet Mr. Juncker.
Yeah.
What would you say, Brian?
I'd say forget about it. WTO, here we go. Keep our money. You keep Europe. You keep your defunct economies. You keep your union. You want to get even closer. The people in this country need to realize we have to go into the euro if we stay in. We have to lose all of our economic mechanisms if we have to go in. We didn't elect for these people who are probably robbing us if we go in, etc., etc. And what I don't understand is we voted to leave. And all these politicians stood and voted to leave. How is it not illegal now that they're going back on what they promised the people that voted them in?
Well, it may not be illegal. It may not be illegal in terms of our constitution, but it is immoral in terms of what they promised us. Because remember, they told us whatever we voted, it would be implemented. And that really is outrageous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's totally outrageous. And they've just totally destroyed the whole democratic fundamental principles of our country. We will not be able to say to other countries in the future, we're sorry, you're not democratic. You're not behaving democratically to your people. You need to have an election. You need to move out. They're doing to us what we've always stood against in the rest of the world. How can we stand proud and say that they have to follow our kind of democracy?
Well, I mean, the truth of it is that we are far from standing proud. We are being humiliated by a bunch of bully boys, and they really have behaved appallingly in every single... I mean, Herman Van Rompuy, the former the former council boss, saying we now have a knife to their throats. I mean, this sort of language is absolutely appalling. So you wouldn't be concerned then in the least about WTO, but what if there were some short-term financial consequences? Would you be prepared to accept that?
Yeah, we all expect there's been financial consequences since 2016 when we voted to leave. This is not something new. People have already planned their exits. Companies have already insurance companies set up their satellite places in Europe, etc. Big business is not stupid. Big business is smart, and it always survives. But
Yeah.
big business is also pulling the levers to try and destroy our leaving the EU also. And the BBC, everyone in this country should stop paying their license fees.
I can't endorse criminal behaviour. I'm not even supposed to say I understand the sentiments behind it, but I've got to tell you I do. Thank you very much indeed for your call. And yeah, this is the point. The referendum was about independence, about us becoming a self-governing democratic nation, not whether Goldman Sachs make money in the next quarter or not. You're listening to The Nigel Farage Show here on LBC at 6:15, and time for the news headlines with Lisa Aziz.
Theresa May is preparing to meet the European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker in Strasbourg tonight for last-minute talks ahead of another meaningful vote on her Brexit deal tomorrow. The Foreign Office has now confirmed at least 9 British nationals were on board the Ethiopian Airlines flight, which crashed yesterday, killing all 157 passengers and crew. A Birmingham City fan has been jailed for 14 weeks for assaulting Aston Villa's Jack Grealish on the pitch during a game yesterday. LBC weather, very windy tonight with severe gales around western coastlines, heavy rain moving right across the UK, a low of 4 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm J. Louise Knight, and the clockwise M25 is crawling from 27 for the M11 to an accident at 30 for the A13. Only one lane is open. Then anti-clockwise, there are delays from 15 at the M4 to Staines at 13 after a van broke down. An earlier accident out of town on the A13 at Goresbrook has left queues from Canary Wharf. It's also causing southbound delays on the North Circular from the M11. Onto the trains, Thameslink have cancellations and delays of an hour to and from St Pancras, Blackfriars and London Bridge. It's after an electrical power failure earlier. There's no service on London Overground from Wilson Junction to Clapham Junction, and at the airports, Heathrow are warning of a handful of delays to flights caused by the strong winds.
This is LBC.
Set for Life is the new game from the National Lottery where you can win 10 grand every month for 30 years. So now you can jump into June, make October a scream, and stick a rocket up November. Make every month amazing. Get your Set for Life ticket from the 15th of March. Amazing starts here. Prize may be capped. Rules, procedures and game-specific rules apply. Players must be 16 or over.
Do you want to give your kids a head start? Think about it. Are you all set up to help with uni fees or a house deposit? No? Then it's time to Wealthify. Start a junior ISA with Wealthify before the 5th of April and you can build them a tax-free nest egg. And it's easy. Just invest a lump sum or pay in monthly and Wealthify do the rest. For more information, download the app or visit wealthify.com today. With investing, capital is at risk and you could get back less than you put in.
I'm a man spreading awareness about a problem many men experience, but few know how to control. Sir, what do you know about male bladder weakness?
I know it affects about 1 in 4 men over 40.
Plot twist, this guy's awareness of urine leakage is weirdly good.
But Tenor Men do a range of pads and pants you can get online or in shops.
Okay, now he's just showing off.
My dad got a free sample from the Tenor Men website.
Seriously, who is this guy?
I also know that Tenor Men happen to be one...
Okay, that's enough out of you. Tenor Men Discreet Protection. Keep control.
Where are we?
The New Forest.
But I thought we only had the Mini Countryman booked for a test drive. We can't stay here.
We're not going to.
This isn't exactly what I meant.
Relax. With Mini's new 48-hour test drive, you can use the Countryman for exactly what it's built for. Exploring. Plus, it's an SUV, the largest Mini in the range, so you can pack loads more in.
Great. Where next?
Well, you know how you've always wanted to try kayaking?
The Mini Countryman 48-hour test drive. Visit mini.co.uk to book yours. Mini. Who's in? Test drive subject to status and availability. Terms and conditions apply. Participating Mini retailers only.
Do you run a growing business that specialises in professional cuddling workshops? Or perhaps you're running a cat day spa that offers herbal paw reflexology? Or maybe you're a retailer with 4 barns worth of healing crystals? No matter what your growing business is, at Barclaycard we take all card payments seriously. In-store or online, we have a payment solution for you. And we'll even give you a £250 statement credit. T's and C's and exclusions apply. New customers only. Offer ends 31st of March 2019. Search Barclaycard Business. Barclaycard. Start today.
Drivers, here's a little number for you. Do you know when your MOT is due? Don't worry if not. Just text your reg to 83333 and we'll ping the date straight back. With 500 senders nationwide, we can fit you in at a time and date that suits you. Just book online or visit your local Quick Fit today and drive away happy.
Reasons to be cheerful. 1, 2, 3.
If you've got BT Broadband, BT Mobile have something just for you. You and everyone you live with get an exclusive £5 off our mobile plans every month. Of course, if you're not with BT, you might be wishing you were. BT Mobile gives back more.
Reasons to be cheerful. 1, 2, 3.
BT. Be there. Discounted price of BT Broadband Homes excludes business.
I know who designed Princess Di's wedding dress. I know who phoned home. I know how to do a silly walk. And I know which part of the room you should never put baby in. But I don't know my state pension.
Find out more about your state pension and how much it should be. Get to know your pension. Visit yourpension.gov.uk.
This is LBC, live from Strasbourg. The Nigel Farage Show. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC using the hashtag Farage on LBC.
Well, I'm here in Strasbourg, and Mrs. May, as I speak, is on her way. She has got a late-night dinner with Jean-Claude Juncker with less than 24 hours to go until this crucial vote, a vote that decides not just the future of Brexit, but also whether she effectively can stay on as Prime Minister. There's talk of some kind of deal being done, but I personally cannot see it being that fundamental. And goodness me, they're being so rude to us. Today, it's the turn of Mr. Tajani, the President of the European Parliament. And he said overnight, the example of the British will serve as a deterrent to anyone that wants to leave the European Union. Well, to me, that means the mask has slipped. He also goes on to say that most Brits want to stay in the European Union, clearly ignoring that poll in the Sunday Telegraph yesterday, showing 44% of people now would leave on no deal. Of course, others would leave with a deal. Craig on Twitter says what Mrs. May should say when she gets here to Jean-Claude Juncker is we are leaving on the 29th. Lose the backstop or it's no deal. Craig, I'm with you, matey. They'd listen if she said that. Shane in Blackpool says, if it was me, I would have got over on the first day and said no deal straight away. Oh, come on, Shane. You've got to be a touch more tolerant than that. And I also get from Steph, Theresa May should tell Juncker we are leaving without a deal. And the 39 billion you thought you were getting, well, you can forget that, I think is what Steph says. Let's go to Ken, a new caller from Brent Cross. Good evening, Ken.
Good evening, Nigel, and I hope it's nice and sunny in Salzburg. I think Theresa May will get something out of this trip that's coming up tonight. I think she probably will benefit from the air miles. But besides that, I just want to give you two little anecdotes. The first one would be, if you remember Dick Emery in the old days, going back to his dad saying, "Dad, I think I got you wrong again."
Yeah, I do.
And the second one is the online poker game where you show two cards and hide the other three. She's sitting at a table with 29 other people. She has all 5 cards exposed. The rest of the table have aces, kings, and jacks, and she is still trying to bluff. Who's she doing this for? Maybe just the parliamentary, the 22 parliamentary committee, maybe some of her other people. It's laughable, and that's why when you stand up, as I've seen you many times in Brussels, they look around now at the British and anybody representing the British with somewhere between mirth and just outright laughter. It's a shame because it was so badly handled from the word go, the get go. There's nothing she'll come back with.
Well, Ken,
except a return ticket.
Ken, I get your cynicism and I enjoy it. But, I mean, it's being suggested, Ken, that what she will get is a time limit on the backstop, maybe 2025 or whatever it may be. I mean, is that going to be enough to convince Jacob Rees-Mogg and the others, in your opinion?
Absolutely not. Well, not only will it not appease them, it just won't get enough people across the line. And I could not see them giving a 5-year out backstop because, of course, that's only when the real troubles and the dividend that's been got from the agreement, the Good Friday Agreement, that's when it'll start falling apart. And I'm sure people who are less politically inclined than yourself and myself, I'm sure it could probably stoke it quite easily. Maybe people on the 12th of July could stoke it. Maybe people on Easter Sunday could stoke it.
It doesn't need to be, Ken, does it? Doesn't need to be, though, does it?
But I'm saying that will encourage our 29 friends to say, no, this is exactly what we've been warning about, and absolutely no way.
I mean, Ken, what I'm with you is it's been the whole negotiation's been a failure from start to finish. Thank you for your call. Don in the Isle of Wight says, May and her cabinet are a disgrace. They've acted like a bunch of educated idiots. I would have grabbed 6 blokes out of a building site and they'd have made a better job of Brexit. Don, I suspect you're right. I was at the Oxford Union last Friday. I met some really intelligent people, but I wouldn't trust some of them to boil an egg, I've got to tell you. Wouldn't it be great if May came back from the meeting with the EU and said, the deal is out, we're leaving with no deal, we're going to save 39 billion. I wonder how many MPs would back that. Well, the problem is, whoever you are, that most MPs still reject the referendum result, and that's one of the reasons we're in the problem we're in. David is a caller from Bromley. Hi, David.
Hi, good evening. I too would probably take builders, because at least they build up where she's digging a hole. She's like a miner. But,
very good. Very good. Now, David, imagine you're on that plane. You're coming over to Strasbourg. Cocktails being served, so you at least catch up with Mr. Juncker. You know, what would you say at that meeting?
she needs to go in there. She needs to simply say, listen, I'm fed up with being too easy the pleaser, trying to please everyone. She needs to now say, I'm going to listen to the vote. I'm going to literally stand by my words, stand by David Cameron's words, which is what we all voted on, which was quite simply, we want to leave. Let's not forget, they've tried to change the conversation. They've tried to change the argument, make it all about economics. We didn't leave for economics only. You know, you don't buy a Bentley expecting to save money. You buy a Bentley to be able to, you know, have a better journey than an old Polo, you know, some VW Polo or something. The thing is, we're now. It's about leaving. It's about respect in our country. It's about
independence, David, isn't it? It's about independence.
Let's be proud of who we are.
Yeah.
Let's be proud of the things we fought for in the war. You know, this is. We shouldn't lose the reason why we did that. You didn't spend 25 years just to try and, you know, to have it short. Yes, maybe it's a couple of years of short term loss, if you like. But look, let's play the long term here. Long term, we'll be winners. And I tell you what, we won't be the only country.
David, I agree with your sentiments. I disagree, though, that she's Theresa the pleaser. I think she's Theresa the appeaser. I think that's part of the problem. David, you're a star. Thank you. Paula is a new caller from Wapping. Good evening, Paula. Hello, Paula.
Yeah, where is she? We need Chariot of Fire. Or we need Princess Leia. What we've got is Minnie Mouse.
Is she that weak a leader in your view?
No, she's got confidence, but only in herself. And she's stubbornness, as all your callers have said. I so agree. Stubbornness is not flexibility. Doesn't allow for flexibility. Doesn't listen. She hears, but she doesn't listen. Turn the plane around, Theresa. Turn it round. Or another thing is, I remember how hard it was for us to get into the EEC. De Gaulle, who we allowed to run the French resistance from this country in London, when they were on their knees, well, beaten. And when we wanted to join the EC, we got no. Twice, I think we got it until we got in the third time. Am I right?
But maybe, you're absolutely right, no was what de Gaulle said. But maybe, Paula, maybe de Gaulle actually understood us rather better than Edward Heath did.
He thought that it wouldn't be right for us, so we shouldn't go in.
He said that we were a maritime nation with our links all over the world, our fierce tradition of independence, and he just didn't think we fitted. I think, in a way, Paula, he was right.
Well, we got in, we voted in, and now, having it been so hard to get in, it's so hard to damn leave.
It's a bit, it does feel a bit like a lobster pot, doesn't it? You know, getting in's easy, but getting out's hard. You say getting in was hard.
I absolutely agree with you with the bullying. And just going back to when David Cameron went round with his begging bowl before, was it a few, you know, time has gone by so much now, the years are flying by. When Cameron went round before he resigned, when the result came up from the election, he went round with his begging bowl and he was humiliated by Europe.
Yes.
I don't blame him for saying, right, you know, I've had enough of this, I'm not doing this again.
But
I don't
Paula,
blame
you
him.
think?
He's been criticised a lot for just walking away. But after he went through trying to get support and realised, and he was humiliated humiliated. Why do they humiliate her?
Do you think, Paula, the very act of Theresa May flying out here to meet the unelected boss of the European Commission, do you think that of itself is humiliating?
Is an elected head of state. She is not a bureaucrat, whatever we think of her. She's not a bureaucrat.
Yeah.
Seeing some of those previous shots of her, when she went to meetings and they just turned their back on her and she left there looking like, the wallflower at the party. And the humiliation, and we keep going through it, and it makes my blood cringe. We don't deserve this treatment. We do not deserve it.
No, and who knows, Paula? Maybe she'll surprise you. Maybe she'll surprise me and she'll stand up to these bullies tonight and tell it like it is. But don't, Paula, please hold your breath. Thank you for your call. You're listening to the Nigel Farage Show here on LBC at 6:30, and time for the news with Lisa Aziz.
Theresa May is heading to Strasbourg for last-minute talks with European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker tonight, ahead of another meaningful vote by MPs on her Brexit deal tomorrow. In the Commons earlier, Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn challenged the Prime Minister to explain any progress made in achieving legal challenges to her plan to break the deadlock. The Foreign Office has now confirmed at least 9 British people were among the 157 passengers and crew killed when a plane crashed minutes after takeoff in Ethiopia yesterday. Investigators have now recovered the flight recorders from the Ethiopian Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8. A 13-year-old schoolboy is in hospital after being stabbed during a disturbance in Glasgow. Emergency crews were called to a road near Shawlands Academy at lunchtime. A 15-year-old boy's been arrested. LBC weather, very windy tonight with severe gales around western coastal parts. Heavy rain moving right across the rest of the UK with a low of 4 degrees.
Brexit.
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 Brexit. Brexit.
Brexit.
This week, the talking has to stop.
The British people want us to get on with a deal that honours the referendum.
Is it a deal?
This is a really good deal for Brexiteers like me.
No deal. It's a bad deal. It's the worst deal in history. Or a delay.
I believe that in the situation we are in, an extension would be a rational solution.
Let me be clear. I do not want to see Article 50 extended.
Follow every crucial Brexit vote live on LBC and then join me, Nick Ferrari, every morning on breakfast for all the reaction.
LBC.
Word in the woods is that 3 little pigs are looking to sell their homes quick. They seem to be in a spot of bother with the big bad wolf called Rick.
Come out, little piggies!
So they spoke to the friendly team at Property Rescue, who can offer a guaranteed sale in as little as 48 hours at a fair price and a cash advance if you need one. Fast forward to living happily ever after. Visit propertyrescue.co.uk. Property Rescue. Fast forward to sold.
I'm making this Vonage phone system my business. Let's go through it again.
I'll have it set up for you in a few hours.
At 11:14 exactly. Seamlessly flip your call from your desk phone to your mobile.
1423. Pop up Mr. Brown's Salesforce data when he calls.
1605. Simultaneously video call you and Mr. White.
Okay, let's do this.
Make Vonage part of your entourage. A business-ready phone system from just £9 a month. To find out more, go to vonage.co.uk. Terms apply.
Vonage. Sounds like good business to me.
Will my travel be affected when we leave the EU?
What about documents for driving?
Will mobile roaming change?
Should I check my travel insurance?
You might also have questions about how leaving the EU on the 29th of March will affect you. Find guidance and up-to-date information at gov.uk/EU exit.
So much confusion. This deal or that deal. Why can't renewals be simple? It does sound like a bargain. What if you're being ripped off?
Confused.com guaranteed to beat your renewal quote, helping you rise above the clamour of comparison sites. It's that easy. Beat your renewal quote guarantee, or you'll get the difference in an extra £20. Don't be confused. Be confused.com. Full T's and C's online. Single annual policies only.
ISAs. They're all pretty. But what if there was one that was more...
That's what you get from Vitality. It's an ISA, but with more oomph. Invest in Vitality ISAs or Junior ISAs, and on top of any returns, we give you bigger and bigger boosts every 5 years. Up to 15% over 25 years. Just search Vitality Invest ISA. Vitality. Positively different. Like all investments, they can go down or up and you may get back less than you invest. Conditions apply.
46 years ago, Swale Heating was born. We've installed thousands of boilers, and now the process is even easier. There's no need for a household survey. Just go to swaleheating.com. Answer a few questions, we'll recommend the best boiler, then install it at a time to suit you. Rely on us to keep you warm.
Oh, Wi-Fi's rubbish!
As a parent, nothing strikes fear into you like those words coming down the stairs. What can you do about a dodgy Wi-Fi signal? Turns out quite a lot. Because with BT Complete Wi-Fi, only we guarantee a signal in every room. So it's game on for Billy in his bedroom, and you win precious dad points. It's $39.99 a month on an 18-month contract with $29.99 setup fee. BT customers can upgrade with BT Plus. BT, be there.
New customers, CPI increase starting 2020. $44.49 a month from month 19, up to 3 discs to guarantee Wi-Fi or £20 off your bill.
There's things in life you just can't control, like the weather, the traffic, or the fact that spilled coffee seems to love white shirts. But it's all good, because there's something you'll always be able to control: your company's finances. SAP Concur integrates all your business's expenses, travel and invoicing in one simple solution, giving you the visibility and control you need to drive your business forward. SAP Concur. It's how the best-run businesses make their expenses run better. Learn more at concur.co.uk/control.
The Nigel Farage Show, live from Strasbourg, only on LBC.
24 hours to go to the meaningful vote, and Mrs May's in the air as we speak. She's on her way to meet Jean-Claude Juncker to have dinner to try to get a last-minute concession. I've no doubt she'll get something in terms of the dispute mechanism, but I don't think they're going to bin the backstop. Whether it'll be enough to persuade the ERG and others from her suffering a humiliating defeat tomorrow, I don't know. I somehow, myself, doubt it. I also suspect that when she's here, the other thing she'll talk about is the extension of Article 50 and how difficult or easy that might be, because on Thursday, the 21st of March, there's a European summit, and that's where it would need to be agreed. Rumours already that if we do extend, they'll want another 1 billion sterling a month ransom demand offers. So I've no doubt that is going to feature too. I'm asking you, what on earth should she say to them tonight? Martin on Facebook suggests she should tell Juncker to pay back the money they've squandered over the years and to jog on. No point trying to do a deal with people who are not prepared to reach compromise. Do you know what, Martin? This is exactly what Yanis Varoufakis, the former Greek finance minister, said at the start of this. He said, you cannot negotiate with these people. They are political obsessives. You're wasting your time. And boy, hasn't he proved to be right. Paolo from Cheam feels very strongly. He says he hopes she doesn't come back from Strasbourg. She should emigrate to Brussels for good. We could get rid of her and get a proper negotiator and give these EU crooks some stick. Well, whether they're crooks or not, Paolo, is a debatable point. But they're certainly pretty arrogant and very, very rude. George is a first-time caller from Chelsea. Good evening, George.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. So come on, imagine you're on that aeroplane, George. You're going off to meet Juncker. What would you say to Juncker?
First thing is I'd take them all into a room, I'd lock the door, and I'd look at them and I'd say, you've played me, you've insulted the British people, you've played with me, you've played with our parliament, so I'm not here to do a deal. There is no deal to be done with you people, so forget your backstop, forget your extension. I'm here to tell you we're leaving. I withdraw my signature from that deal. We'll speak on April the 1st.
Oh, George, hang on, you've missed something. You've missed something fundamental. Surely you would also say, forget your 39 billion.
So I guess so. I was about to say enjoy your frog's legs, but maybe I'd slip that in before.
No, George, there is no need for us to sink to their level, is there?
Frog's legs are very tasty.
Yeah, I know, but you know how they take that from a roast beef, don't you?
But this Prime Minister will give the 39 billion, and she'll arrange an extension, and she'll pay more billions for the pleasure of staying in. All I hope, Nigel, is that this extension is 2 years, so we can see you back in the European Parliament making life hell, and then they'll be giving us any deal to get out.
Am I the secret weapon, George? Me coming back?
You're the weapon we've got, Nigel. You're the only flipping weapon we've got.
Well, I'm not sure about that. There are some very good people in the other parties. The trouble is, George, there are too few of them. Thank you for your kind words. Steve is a new caller from Maidstone in Kent. Good evening, Steve.
Good evening, Nigel. Thank you very much for taking the call. She should say, you lot are bullies. People want controls back. I feel even the Remainers want controls back, but they still want to be your partners. And then as a backstop, what a useless word.
No, please.
But if we give in, they'll just beat us senseless every day because we've given in.
Do you know what, Steve? My feeling is, if Mrs May's deal goes through, they'll beat us senselessly every day for the next 2 years because we will have given them completely the whip hand over the next stage of all of this. And it's one of the reasons, Steve, I want this deal to fall.
I've had two callings in life apart from my marital bliss. One was laying flowers for Lady Diana. The other was coming to meet you. You know, we should not give any more money to prop up all the failing countries in the group. But the problem is, of course, she's a classic politician, void of all street-level experience, and, dare I say, only in it for her own future, which is probably mapped out already.
How do you, Steve, tell me, with whatever you do, living in Maidstone and you work and perhaps you go to the pub or watch football or whatever you do, I mean, what's your sense of your peer group? How do they feel about all of this?
All the same.
All the same.
And all the same. And what I've clearly, I do travel into the city for business, but generally speaking, I've tried to think of an analogy for this. If I draw in a salary, shall I just give it to the man across the street and he'll tell me what I spend it on? Or something similar. And it's just insane that we do any of this. Yeah, we're a massively talented, powerful nation, all by ourselves, all on our little coastal, our little island here, and we're powerful enough. We got, as somebody, it might even have been you, saying the other day about Mercedes building the biggest
massive new car dealership. Up in the northwest, it's going to be the biggest car dealership in the whole of Europe. They're opening up there. So Steve, you get loads of bad news stories. You get some very good news stories as well economically. But Steve, this referendum is not about economic forecasts and projections. It's about, are we to be an independent country or not, isn't it?
Indeed. And why should we not be when we have such power to go out to all, obviously, Commonwealth partners and then out to the world? I'm dealing with China right now, and anyone will do business with you if it's valid business. Why are we so scared? And
because our leaders, Steve, our leaders don't believe in Britain. That's the root of the problem. Our voters do. Steve, you're a star. Thank you. Jonathan is a first-time caller from Windsor. Good evening, Jonathan.
Good evening, Mr. Farage. I would just say, if I was Mrs. May, I would look him in the eye and I would say to him, thank you very much, Jean-Claude, for re-energising 66 million British people throughout the land, because what we've now got on our minds is Brexit all the time, and you've opened up the ability for us to see what you and all your partners are really like. You do it well on YouTube, Nigel.
Well, Jonathan, that's exactly what I said.
She's exposed them much better.
That's exactly what I said.
We're all politically motivated, and like that last caller said, powerful. Jesus, why does the whole world want to come to this country?
Of course, because we're a great place. Jonathan, you're quite right. The appetite's there. My last speech on this was at the end of January here in Strasbourg, got over 8.5 million views on YouTube. I think you're right. I think the thing about the Brits is we're generally a pretty docile lot. But push us too far, bully us too much, and we respond and we react. And I think that's what's happening now, Jonathan, isn't it?
It is, but you've done a fantastic job for 20 years, for a long, long time. You've been chipping away continually, and what you do is you're basically our eyes and ears in those places. We all look at YouTube and watch you, and we're all behind you. You know we are. But if she, Mrs. May, goes over there and sits down and drinks a cocktail or two, she should just say to him, you know what you've done? You've just re-energised our country. There's 66 million people now that think, talk, and are sick of Brexit. But more importantly, we're all energised and we'll already leave. Forget it. You watch us survive and watch us what we've done for the last 250 years or longer, which is to just survive financially, physically, food, building houses, everything we do, apart from building BMWs, we do it ourselves.
Of course we do, Jonathan, I love your optimism. I love your confidence. I hope the Prime Minister's listening. I hope she gets some spirit from you, Jonathan from Windsor. Thank you for that call. Wow. Well, he was full of energy and full of vigour and full of fire. And it is, I have to say, one thing I've noticed, that it is the behaviour, of the Tusks, of the Barniers, of the Junkers, and now the Tajanis, and when Verhofstadt snarls at us. And I do think in some ways it is unifying people, and that's why leaving with no deal is now by far the most popular option. At the time of the referendum, most of us, and I was one, we wanted to have a proper free trade deal, but I did make the point all the way through that no deal is better than a bad deal. Surely the Prime Minister, the one card she's got tonight, she could say to Mr Juncker, now look, we have an EU Withdrawal Act. It's there in law. It only changes if I decide as Prime Minister, with my government, my cabinet, to change that law. Unless you start being reasonable, I may have no choice but for us to leave with no deal at 11 p.m. on March the 29th. And you know something? It's going to hurt you an awful lot more than it's going to hurt me. I just wonder whether she's got the spirit, the strength and the resolve to do it. Oh, I do hope so, but I doubt it. You're listening to the Nigel Farage Show here at LBC at 6:45. Time for the news headlines with Lisa Aziz.
Theresa May is preparing to meet the European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker in Strasbourg tonight for last-minute talks to break the deadlock ahead of another meaningful vote on her Brexit deal tomorrow. The Foreign Office has confirmed at least 9 British nationals were on board the Ethiopian Airlines flight which crashed yesterday, killing all 157 passengers and crew. A Birmingham City fan has been jailed for 14 weeks for punching Aston Villa's Jack Grealish on the pitch during a game yesterday. LBC weather, very windy tonight with severe gales around western coasts. Heavy rain moving right across the UK, a low of 4 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Louise Knight, and there are delays of an hour and a half on the clockwise M25 towards an accident at 30 for the A13. Only one lane is open. There are long northbound delays on the M1 towards another accident after 12 at Flitwick. That's the second one this afternoon. Only one lane's running. An earlier accident on the A13 at Goresbrook's left huge queues out of town from Canary Wharf. It's also causing southbound delays on the North Circular from the M11. And Parliament Square in the centre of town remains partly blocked for a demonstration. Onto the trains, Thameslink have delays of an hour to and from St Pancras, Blackfriars and London Bridge after problems earlier. There's no South Western from Twickenham to Barnes, and there are severe delays on London Overground from Stratford to Richmond and Stratford to Clapham Junction.
Coming up at 7 on LBC, Ian Dale.
Expect some exciting Brexit developments during today's show. Theresa May is in Strasbourg trying to save her deal. Stay tuned to find out whether she can.
Ian Dale on LBC.
Calling all hard-working minicab drivers. Are you the very best London has to offer? Yes? Then Greyhound Cars, one of South London's oldest and most progressive minicab companies, want to speak to you. Spend less time travelling to jobs and more time earning money. With a very busy day circuit, we have high demand and are now offering great bonuses and mileage rates for the very best drivers. You could pay as low as 10% commission. Start today at greyhoundcars.co.uk.
When it comes to business meetings, some things never change. Like the always awkward...
Okay, listen up. Mr. Intel?
Ladies and gentlemen, I introduced the Vonage business phone system. You can make and receive calls on your laptop or smartphone using one business landline number.
One number on all your devices?
Yes, all of them. Never miss a call again and always look professional, anywhere, anytime.
Okay, let's do this.
Make Vonage part of your entourage. A business-ready phone system from just £9 a month. To find out more, go to vonage.co.uk. Terms apply.
Vonage. Sounds like good business to me.
Most radio adverts begin in a pristine recording studio, but not this one. We're recording on the streets of central London, polluted by toxic air. Because there's no better place to tell you that the Central London Ultra-Low Emission Zone is coming on the 8th of April this year. For vehicles that don't meet the new stricter emission standards, it will apply 24 hours a day in the same area as the congestion charge zone. From the 8th of April, you can either pay the daily charge online, via the free official TfL app, Or sign up to AutoPay for a £10 annual admin fee per vehicle. Search ULEZ to check your vehicle and see if you need to pay. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
For hundreds of years, Indian food has been about sharing great food with the people you love. For over 5 years, Manjal Restaurant have brought North and South India together in the heart of London. And due to its success, now we've come to Chigwell Loughton. Experience the essence of India and make memories with Manjal. Book now at manjalrestaurant.com.
What a racket! If we all had a smart meter, we could stop 19.65 million tonnes of CO2 from entering the atmosphere, which is like taking 600,000 cars off the road by 2030. Ah, that's better, isn't it? Save your energy for a cleaner Britain. See how much you're using and make changes to use less. Search Get a Smart Meter today from the Campaign for a Smarter Britain.
Eligibility may vary. Available in England, Scotland and Wales by 2020.
Would you and your business benefit from a personal approach from your accountant? At Barnes Rofe, of course, our partners have the technical skills needed to offer you first-class audit, tax and accounting advice. But most importantly, we'll work closely with you to help your business grow long-term. Perhaps it's time to see what we can do for you. Arrange your free consultation at barnesrofe.com. Barnes Rofe. Clever accountants for business.
This is LBC, live from Strasbourg, the Nigel Farage Show. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC using the hashtag #FarageOnLBC.
Mrs. May on her way to meet Jean-Claude Juncker. What should she say to him? Well, I've given you all my thoughts on it. I just think the time has come to stop appeasing them. The time has come to get tough. The Irish Cabinet, interestingly, just met a few minutes ago in Dublin. And that hints to me that there is some change of some kind to the backstop. But I do not, I repeat, expect anything that is fundamental or particularly legal. I expect, frankly, some fiddling round the edges or promises to sort out or a time limit of some kind. But I don't think that backstop's is going to be removed. And I could be wrong. But I do not right now believe, despite the drama of her coming here, these late-night meetings, that we're expecting a statement in the House of Commons at 10 o'clock tonight from Stephen Barclay, the Brexit Secretary. Despite all of that, they may well do their best to try and play this up as some big dramatic breakthrough. I very much doubt that she's going to produce anything tonight that will get this deal through tomorrow. I'm taking a risk on saying that, but that is what I think. Alan in Devon says, this has been a setup. She won't say anything except thank you and come back with something that will just get through. So Alan thinks she might get enough to get through. I actually don't think that's the case, but I could be wrong. The only way this country can mitigate the shame now is to go WTO and say we gave them a chance and have history show them as Muppets, says Steve from Sutton. Michael is a new caller from Feltham. Good evening, Michael.
Good evening, Nigel. Can I just say I'm quite a Europhile. I believe in Europe, but more so, I'm a Democrat. And we as a country, the whole of us, decided we would leave.
Yes.
Okay? Now, what I think is what I think is happening is it's awakening people, ordinary, decent British people who've never been involved with politics, but we've never been listened to. This is the first opportunity we've had in all these years to actually have a say in what happens to our country. Now, when she goes and sees Mr. Juncker, she needs to say to him, she needs to ask him a question. Who do you think you're talking to?
Quite.
This is great Britain.
Yes. Yes.
If it wasn't for us, we wouldn't be having this conversation. You'd probably be talking German.
Well, you're right.
This is
you're right. You're right, Michael. You're absolutely right. And I've said it again and again. I'm not a Mrs. May supporter, but I'll be damned if I'll see our elected Prime Minister talked down to by unelected Brussels bureaucrats. It's outrageous, isn't it?
It is. It's totally outrageous. And what we need to do, she says to him, you remove this backstop fully, or we leave. that's the default. Let's just leave. We voted to leave. We didn't vote to leave with conditions. We voted to leave.
And you, Michael, as a Remainer, but you're a Democrat, you accept that result.
Exactly. We vote when you go to have an election. If Labour come 2 points behind the Conservatives, we don't say we'll run it again, do we?
No.
And I'm fed up with companies saying they're gonna take their cars and produce them elsewhere. Well, you know what? I think the British people will start saying, we'll start buying cars that are made in Britain. We'll start getting a bit nationalistic. We've never, ever been nationalistic in this country. But I think Europe has started to gel us together.
You're the second caller. You're the second caller tonight, Michael, to say that in some ways we're beginning to gel together. That's very, very interesting point. Great phone call. Thank you for the points you made. Susie in Dersingham says Theresa May should make it a very short dinner by telling Juncker no deal is better than a bad deal. Au revoir, et voila. Well, Susie, President Trump 10 days ago was there negotiating with the North Koreans. They put forward proposals he found unacceptable, and he said, sometimes you have to walk. I think he was right. Chris in Darlington says, your caller is right. The public can smell freedom. We could have it in 20 days if our rulers would let us have it. We're not worried about short-term problems. Chris, it's a similar point I'm getting from a few of you tonight. Maybe, in a way, a lot of us are beginning to come together. Jeff is a new caller from Ashford. Good evening, Jeff.
Hi, how are you doing, Nigel?
I am well. Welcome to the show. So, what would you say if you were Theresa May?
I wouldn't say anything. I would have a cunning plan that would get us out of the EU and really reinvigorate her standing in politics.
All right. Do you want to share it? Do you want to share it with us, Jeff?
Yeah. Tomorrow, when she walks into the House, she should dissolve Parliament and tell the people that she's dissolving Parliament so that we can have our Brexit, because they won't be able to legislate to take the no deal out. That is true.
That is true. I mean, her own party would go absolutely berserk, or many of them would. How would the country react, Jeff?
I think the country, if you politicise it properly, that you were doing this because of people in the House that are actively working against the will of the people.
Saboteurs.
Politicise it up. Yeah.
Saboteurs, Jeff. That's what they are, isn't it?
They are. They don't want to be democratic. They're the political class. They're right and the rest of us are wrong.
I know. Now, there's one problem, Jeff. If the Queen chose to prorogue Parliament, the Queen would have to agree to that, wouldn't she?
Yes. Well, she has to go to the Queen to dissolve Parliament, yeah.
But that would be putting a lot of pressure on the Queen, wouldn't it?
I dare say it would, but you never know. She might be ready to give the job up anyway.
Well, I don't think that. But no, Jeff, look, the idea that she's had enough of the nonsense, of the sheer dishonesty, of the collusion with the other side, of the treachery of Blair and others. She prorogues Parliament and then the legislation takes us out. Jeff, you've got a fair point. It's not what I've heard for some time. I'm running out of time, but Judah is a new caller from Swansea, and you've got 45 seconds, Judah.
Oh, hello, Nigel.
Hello there.
Well of you, mate, by the way.
That's very sweet of you.
I'd just like to say what Theresa May should actually stand up and say to the EU overall is, I have to respect my electorate's decision. People like Viktor Orban, Matteo Salvini of Italy and other Eastern Bloc countries are respecting their electorate's position and decisions in their vote and implementing what they vote for. Mm-hmm. Now, if they implement what they vote for in those countries, surely our Parliament, who's made an absolute shambles of Brexit so far, should respect their electorate's decision.
Well, they should, but they're not, Judah, are they?
Absolutely. So what has to be done is, I believe, is a total change of the establishment. And I think people of
longer
Britain...
term, Judah, I agree with you. We need fundamental change. Look, I thank you for your comment. I'm sorry we're out of time. I'm going to finish with Chris in Coulston, who says, I think she'll surprise us all. I don't think she has a choice but to walk. Oh, Chris, I so hope you're right. I really do. We're going to find out, aren't we? And I'll be back tomorrow at 6, at 10 tonight. It's Tom Swarbrick. But up next, it's Ian Dale.
Thank you very much, Nigel. Well, you won't want to go anywhere this evening because we